I'm not even a big hat person. Those are clean.
Yeah.
I might have to go farm me one personally because they clean. I actually want the Bengal ones because they have the orange outline. Fire. Anyway.
Fire, son.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, our daily fantasy edition, where we take a pensive approach to the sports conversation. I'm your host, Jay, with our special co-host, the OSG. Thank you for checking us out here on YouTube, as well as wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're there, please like, subscribe, rate us, and review us, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Man, give us 5 anyway. Go ahead and gift it. So, on today's episode, we're going to dive directly into daily fantasy sports. We're going to give you the top 3 selections for every position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, as well as a little bit of defense. We're also going to give you some sleepers. We'll give you some sleeper players to play at every single position just to fill out your rosters. And then from there, we'll wrap it up with the PHrozen features, and the OSG will give you his coldest of cold takes that'll be so cold and it'll burn you.
Yes.
So with that,
It wasn't so bad last week.
it weren't. So hit us up on the Unfair fan line, 430-901-1906. Let us know what you think of the show, as well as give us your strongest opinions and slide us how you did over the week. Did you take advice from the OSG's written report? Did you make money? Did you lose it? We need to know what you did. So hit us up, 430-901-1906. OSG, man, what's good, man?
Oh, ready for a bounce back week. I think it was a rough week 13 for the both of us. So,
I think rough 13 for everybody.
Yeah.
Except for the $1 million winner. They still made their money.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to take away their money. I think that guy actually, they were putting up like 240 points in that. So it was a strong week for the top upper echelon. So it was one of those weeks you got to...
some players had some big weeks out there. You know, Chris Godwin, a big week against Atlanta. We talked about his history against him. So some guys had some big games last week. So
agreed.
Yep, so that helps those scores. So yeah,
we got to prepare ourselves this week. Just kind of diversify our rosters, understand, and it's at the end of the season. We got a lot of injuries. It was like a lot of COVID's turning up between here and the NBA. Yes. So we're going to see a lot of people in and out, a lot of injured reserve players. We're going to have some backups. Over the next couple of weeks, this is something to keep in mind too, fans. You're going to start seeing a lot of random backup players playing for these teams. Teams are going to start shutting down key players if they don't have a playoff run coming, or teams that are about to be in the playoffs and they don't need any more W's. They're going to start shutting guys down. There's no reason to put them out there and get them hurt.
And the teams that need the wins, keep targeting them in good spots. Keep, we talk about some of these teams that we target this and that against, and keep hammering it because it's going to hit more than it doesn't hit.
It does. I 100% concur on that. So keep that in mind. Prepare yourself. So we're going to start off right in the buzzard at the quarterback position. We've got just about all the top guys in the slate, except for, looks like Kyler Murray is really the only one we don't get this week because he's the Monday night game. Him, Matt Stafford.
And 2 of them are against each other. 2 of the big boys got the hat on, Josh Allen and Brady. So when I kind of look at the top 3, I'm kind of thinking about Allen versus Brady, and I'm kind of really leaning Josh Allen just based on the matchup. Not that Brady's not going to be great in that matchup because he's also less expensive against Buffalo, but Buffalo's defense they're pretty good.
Oh, they're a top 5 DVOA. If I'm correct, they think they might be still top in DVOA. I haven't checked this week.
And if anybody can beat a matchup, we know it's Brady. But I kind of lean when I kind of look at the top 3. So I'm kind of start with Josh Allen. I think that him, Stephon Diggs, I think they're a great stack this week. Players like Russell Gage had a good week last week against this Tampa secondary. He popped up with Matt Ryan. So I really think that the Diggs Allen sack, I think it's the week to go back to it. They're playing on a short week, doesn't help. But the last time everybody watched him play hadn't been a good game. So I actually think that even though it's a good ownership, even though it's a good total, I don't think a lot of people want to pay up for this stack because it's not cheap, but I think they're in a pretty good spot there. Yeah,
Tampa Bay's ranked 8th in DVOA, so overall defense, they are rated based upon the analytics as an 8th rated team, and the Bills are still the number 1 defense in the league. And the good thing for them was last week, like you said, it's a short week for them. They played the Patriots in the Ice and Wind Bowl.
And I think that Tampa's defense gets their rank because of how good their rush defense is.
The rush defense is ridiculous. The pass defense.
So when you focus on the pass only, and that's where that comes into play.
Now, they are really good at turnovers, too, though. So that's the one thing. Well, actually, DVOA-wise, their pass defense is better than their rush.
Yeah, and when you look at their honestly, even their defensive fantasy numbers past couple of weeks, they've been pretty good. But I kind of like
turnovers.
I like them to I think Diggs is the kind of route runner they can get to the secondary.
I like that.
Needs a good route running technician type wide receiver.
Yeah, and then looking at Josh Allen's number over the last couple of weeks, this is actually a week that's set for him to come back.
Yes.
He has a tendency of having an every other week this season so far. So since week 9, actually since week 8, he had 29 points. Then the next week against Jacksonville, he had 12 points.
Yep.
Then went to the Jets in New York and got 24 points. Then played against Indianapolis and got 18. Went to New Orleans, put up 28.
Right.
And then last week he got 12. So he is primed for hopefully another 30 week, even though he hasn't hit 30 points since week 6.
And then when you think about that, New Orleans, New England, now Tampa, some good defenses that
he has played some really good but shoot, he ate up that Saints defense.
Yeah, he did.
That's the thing that's impressive.
He did. So that's why I kind of like his chances here. Warm weather. They'll be happy to be in Florida.
Yes.
They don't
play very well in Florida, though. It seems like when they play Miami, they don't
do well.
always do too well.
Maybe they partied the night before. I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Tampa a little different.
Yeah, Tampa might not be.
They need a win, though. They really need a win.
They're desperate need, especially
they
the
need
fact
a win.
that
we talked about that. You talked about that this time of year. They need a win.
They need this, especially because the Patriots.
And these are two teams that aren't familiar with each other.
That's true.
Well.
Tom is familiar with
it. You're right about that.
Tom is familiar with Buffalo.
So I was going to say that two teams unfamiliar with each other is a good prime for a shootout. Defenses aren't familiar with the other offense. And, I could see this game getting to 28-27. So can't go wrong with Allen Diggs. Really can't go wrong with Brady on the other side either. He's got so many.
And Tom has always done well against this Bills defense, even though the Bills have been like I said, they've been a great defense over the last few years.
Yes.
So, besides those two, third-wise, who's your next quarterback?
Next quarterback is going to be, and I think he'll get overlooked with Allen and Brady and Mahomes out there. I think Dak Prescott at 6'7". He's cheaper than Herbert. He's cheaper than Lamar. Cheaper than Brees. He's cheaper than a lot of people. When we talk about cheap, like Joe Burrow's already down to $6K. I can't believe he's that cheap. I don't know. But anyway, Dak Prescott, all of his targets are healthy.
Yeah.
His left tackle is back in.
Yep.
Pollard is a little banged up. Did not practice as of Thursday.
He tore his plantar fascia.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
plantar
did.
fascia.
I did just read that.
Which I read that it's better to tear it than it is to rupture it.
Right.
So it might be a good thing. So it looks like he potentially may still play.
Yep. So, is he limited? But between him and Zeke being on the field, everybody's healthy. I kind of like CeeDee Lamb as his best stacking partner. I think a lot of people go Cooper because he's cheaper. I think you kind of go high with him.
Curious to how you play with a torn plantar.
Don't know. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Cortisone shots nonstop, huh?
And so I think the matchup is even better. Washington's lost their edge rusher for the year. Down another defensive injury. And while they've been playing
so they lost another one to go with Chase.
While they've been a better defense as of late, I think that's going to hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, they've grown over the last couple of weeks defensively and gotten better.
Yep.
And so losing another defensive end, another edge rusher, something that has been a key piece of their defense is not a good thing to hear.
Nope, Montez Sweat.
Oh, they lost Sweat.
On the COVID list.
Oh, he's on the list. Okay, so he's not out. He's just
probably not playing Sunday, which again, whether Pollard or him, we worried about this Sunday for now. So that kind of makes that matchup even a little bit better for Dallas on their side. It's the first division game between them, and I like his price at 6'7". I think he can have
it's not bad.
He can hit a good ceiling there.
Hey, it's not a bad number.
Nope, not a bad number.
Okay.
Not at all.
Sleeper quarterbacks. You got any sleepers that you think we should be keeping in mind?
Well, I think the last top third big quarterback is going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Really? You think him at 8,000 is worth it? As bad as he's been the last few weeks?
Talked pre-show. That's been their best game was against the Raiders. The Raiders' defense just didn't anything. That's
true. He got damn near 40 points against them at 7-5.
And that was in Las Vegas. Now they're at home. For the most part, a healthy team. So this is the best bet to believe they're in Kansas City.
And it's a sunny day. So they're in KC. It's a sunny day. So clear. It should be perfect for them.
Yep.
So, do you really think though the Raiders aren't going to be able to be better prepared the same time around? Because the one thing I always think about this is the NFL. Teams do have a tendency of actually being prepared for their opponent the second time around.
And some of the Raiders games been going, so hadn't really gotten to a whole lot of shootouts. Kind of thought that Cincinnati Raider game was shootout, and it didn't.
Yeah, and I thought we were talking about pre-production on the that spread I'm looking at. Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites now. They opened at 10. All the money's on the Chiefs, and the line's going down.
The Raiders' problem, they're always got to say they don't have anybody to hold Hill. They don't have anybody to hold Kelsey. Like, they don't fit stopping those guys. Yeah, and those are the kind of offense that they can kind of get loose on. I kind of think, Kelsey had a big game against them earlier this year. Mm-hmm. Kelsey, I mean, Hill, like the big three, the big three had the games against them. It was Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey in that game. And, I
can see that.
Yeah.
And I can see our boy Derek Carr having to be out there throwing the ball for 400 yards because they're going to have to throw it on top.
Josh Jacobs.
Him and Josh Jacobs.
Waller's probably not going to play. So I really think that, so when you say sleepers, when I kind of look at these big three, when you look at these big three receivers, I think the quarterbacks going against all those guys are your sleepers. Yeah. Taylor Heineke against Dallas. We talked about them, and he's a gunslinger, and we talked about Dallas giving up these big plays. Terry McLaurin, I think McLaurin is a really good, like, run back. Like, if you play Dak, Lamb, I think you run McLaurin out there.
Okay.
I think you run Antonio Gibson out there if you think Washington gets up a little bit. If you kind of think that they're controlling the game, Gibson's running the ball. He's looked good the last couple of weeks. And then, Brady, of course, on the other side of Allen, all of his weapons are healthy. Pick your poison, like Fournette, Godwin, Evans, Gronk. He's going to throw it to them all. So your sleepers, all of them. But I think Heineke could kind of be this sleeper quarterback that everybody kind of be looking at. These big guns, I think he could go overlooked against that defense.
It makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. That's our quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind with that. Thanks for checking us out here on, like I said, the YouTube as well as listening to the podcast. Please hit us up. Let us know what you think. Give us a comment. Give us a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Mm-hmm. Let's transition over. Running backs. Who are our top three that you think we should be really paying attention to? Because I'm looking on DraftKings right now, and I'm seeing a lot of red Qs.
Yes, and some of them will begin to fall out. So I think the first top three that I kind of went with is still early, leading up into Friday, Saturday, finishing the article. But I got Eckler, Kamara, and Fournette. Kamara's coming back. I'm assuming he's going to kind of return into a full-time role. Mark Ingram's landed on the COVID list, so he's kind of got the backfield off to himself.
Oh, yeah, I did just see that.
And to top it off, he's playing the Jets. So,
hey, man, the Jets defense had I'm stop lying. No. I was going to lie and say something, but
I keep riding this Eckler train, but we talked, Keenan Allen's on the COVID list. So there's a lot of targets. Like, he's averaging, he's getting 10 targets a game for the past month and a half. So that's got to go somewhere.
It's true.
I don't know which way they're leaning. They're a big favorite against the Giants. So it's not like, that they maybe will be forced to have a pack. Yes, both is going to be. Well, Eckler's against the Giants. Kamara's against the Jets. So we're picking on the New York teams all over again. So, it's not like, I don't think that the Chargers will be forced into a heavy pass script, unless the Jets show up like they did against Cincinnati, and this is the week that they got to get into a shootout. But I think they could control the game a little bit. I think they could run the offense to Eckler.
Yeah, looking at Eckler over the last couple of weeks, he's still been a steady producer of numbers.
Yeah, I tried to get him for the 150 last week. They kind of got up big against that game, but they kind of was throwing these big plays to Mike Williams. But he's been consistent in getting the yards together and the rushing together and being involved in offense.
I think the biggest thing is that the targets, especially at the receptions. So he had 5 targets, 5 receptions last game. The week before, he had 8 targets, 6 receptions.
Exactly. That's big.
Before that, he had 7 targets, 6 receptions. Exactly. And since this is a PPR league, that's a big key, and that's a lot of money you can add.
Now we're looking at taking 10 receptions from Keenan Allen now.
Yes. So you got to add that on top of. So there's a chance that he's going to have 10 targets.
So now you
get at least 5 more.
So now you're getting, if you want to be, real okay, let's say 3 more.
Yeah.
But there's 3 points plus yards. There's another touchdown equity because you saw Keenan Allen catch 2 red zone touchdowns last week.
I'd say he'd get 5 more with 3 more catches at least. So that's 8 catches.
Because right now, Mike Williams is questionable because he's deemed the close contact of Allen. So we really got to keep an eye on if he's even going to play.
That's
true. Maybe the game even shifts even more. We got to get deep into we ain't got the receiver yet, but dig deep into the receiver unit there. And tight end, so because
Eckler's backup is with Justin Jackson.
They just don't show any interest in wanting to play the backup running backs with the Chargers. Like they don't run it a lot, so you don't see them getting enough volume to be relevant. It's not like Tony Pollard. It's not like some of these other running backs behind.
Like Matson for the Vikings or whatnot.
It's just Eckler.
Yeah, they do make him do everything, which is kind of like that Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, he's the highest priced running back. You know, it's kind of weak it is right now. Kamara's kind of down at 7-9 coming off injury, so
yeah,
he's coming in. You know, no Taylor on the slate. C-Mac's done,
which hurts every week. They need to drop his usage if we talk about C-Mac. I don't want to go too far into it because since he's not playing this week, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot. They need to cut his usage, add a second running back there, and let him be more versatile.
Or use him because, now they're going to bring in Hubbard and, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Amir Abdullah.
Hubbard has not shown us anything.
He has not, but they don't use him. So, they don't give him the same volume that they do McCaffrey. Now that he comes in, so now they want to use two backs when he comes in. So, but we don't know what his.
But I think there's a reason why they don't give him much volume. Is that he's just not
be built for it. May not be built for it. I think he can catch pass, but
So you said Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, and your third person is Leonard Fournette.
So
Uncle Lenny.
Yep. And then the sleepers, and I don't know if they're that much of a sleep. So first, I had Pollard, Gibson, and Javonte Williams.
Ooh.
But Pollard's still not practicing. We talked about that plantar fascia, so kind of crossed him out and put Cordell Patterson in there. Like I said, I don't know how much of a sleeper he is, but people we really don't want to play him because it's not like he's getting the 20 touches and heavily. It's like they're giving him big plays when it counts in the red zone, so he gets those fantasy points. So I think he'll kind of get overlooked in the matchup against a good Carolina defense, whom I do like. And so the reason I'm kind of maybe getting off Gibson is because J.D. McKissick came back to practice. He carried such a high volume the last 2 weeks with McKissick out. Like they didn't go to another. I was talking about this with somebody today. Like sometimes when they lose a backup running back, they don't go deep to that third running back.
Yeah.
Now they just pile on there. And that's what they did to Gibson. They gave him all the carries, 20 carries, and then they gave him all the targets the last 2 weeks. So maybe with McKissick come back, if it's more of a shootout, maybe they go back to McKissick in the passing game and it's just running for Gibson. So kind of wrote in there Josh Jacobs. Like he kind of, Drake is out.
How long has McKissick been out? He's been out the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, he missed the last 2 games.
And because of that, you've seen
and so
you see Gibson getting 7 targets and 6 targets.
Exactly.
And, so 13 targets in the last 2 games.
Didn't get that. You look at the game.
No. The game before he had 0 targets. Exactly. So McKissick was doing all the work.
All the pass game work is going to McKissick every week. So that's kind of a fringy play. Like I don't know how healthy McKissick has. Kind of looked deep into that kind of scene by the time we put together the report. So kind of leaned back towards Josh Jacobs in this shootout with the Chiefs. The last couple of weeks, they actually started targeting Jacobs a little bit more.
It's true.
Waller's out. Drake is out.
Oh, yeah, Drake's done, yeah.
And so that's who was kind of getting a lot of that's, they wasn't throwing it to Jacobs because they were using Drake in the pad. They were using other backs. So now that Drake is out, kind of went a little bit more heavy Jacobs. I always have a hard time clicking on Jacobs. Just at his price, he's just always in this, just this price where I always rather go cheaper to someone like Javonte Williams, by the way. Let's go down to him there at 5'9". Melvin Gordon might come back, but after seeing what Williams has done the last couple of weeks without Melvin Gordon, you think maybe they kind of stick with that a little bit more. He was explosive. They gave him 20 carries last week.
Yeah.
He's been good. He's in the past game. They play the Lions at home. That's just a nut matchup for the running back. So, I don't mind him. I don't think those running back, I think we kind of narrowed that down. Not that I think you can cross out Pollard more so for injury wise, even if he plays.
Yeah, probably just safest bet not to.
I just don't know how efficient he is. And I don't really even feel comfortable going back to Zeke either. That's why with Dallas, I kind of just think the receivers and Zeke could get that 2-yard touchdown, but I don't see him getting 22 carries, 130 yards.
Right.
And a touchdown. I don't see that out of Zeke.
I don't see it either. So even outside of that, so looking at like the really, really, really cheap guys, I got one guy I've been looking at and curious about is actually 2. Looking at Devontae Booker for the Giants. Feels like Saquon it's just playing. It ain't right with that team. Yeah. Nothing's right with that team.
And Daniel Jones and Glennon is like they may go down to the 3rd string quarterback here in this game.
I was supposed to be Fromm if I'm correct.
Is it Jake Fromm or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jake
and so
from State Farm? Yeah.
Yeah. and they knew that was coming because the Chargers are like 4-3 defense on DraftKings, which sucks because I was gonna
hammer it with them.
Yeah.
But we know that they got that situation, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does make sense. And then
so when
Adrian
they're that bad, you just don't even want to. Yeah, he had.
And
the
then
touchdown.
Adrian Peterson,
He had the touchdown.
it looks like that the Seahawks are trying to find a way to really mix him in more.
Yeah, I didn't go any cheaper than Javonte Williams 5'9". The cheapest running back I wrote down was Kareem Hunt at 5'6" coming back.
Okay,
they kind of talked about him and Chubb being on the field at the same time.
Yep.
Hunt's
back. So yeah.
So at 5'6", we saw his role.
Yeah, we did.
Targets. He gets touches inside the red zone, kind of kills it when you're playing Chubb, and Chubb ran all the way downfield. Then here comes Hunt.
Hunt gets it on the short pass or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're I know they got to try to find a way to get Baker Mayfield going. So they're going to have to get back to Dinkin and Duncan for a bit this season.
And you add into that I believe is David Njoku either on the COVID list or something to that effect. Whatever it is, he ain't playing. Which kind of
some more running back play. More Kareem Hunt's going to be probably
targets.
more.
We're not talking about tight ends,
Chubb.
but like the Hooper maybe gets a bump because now you got one down, one tight end because we know Baker don't just throw it to receivers all the time.
No.
So between people like Hooper and Kareem Hunt at running back, I think maybe that's if it's fringy. But this time of year, we're looking for what we know.
Yeah,
they're playing Baltimore. They should want to beat Baltimore.
They have to. They need to in order to get to the playoffs. They're going to have to get this.
You have to beat you got to win this division game. It's a big. It's not a great fantasy game, but that's a important game for Baltimore and Cleveland. So don't hate Hunt down there.
Exactly. So another thing that's key and important for you all is to check out OSG's written report for the fantasy.
Yep.
He puts it out every Saturday. Right now we're giving you just kind of the Cliff's notes of what we think are your top plays, things to really consider, talk through some things, make sure that we're not crazy.
Yes.
But then the written report that drops on Saturday has more details on the ones to really target and build all your lineups around. So expect to make about 100 lineups.
Right.
That bad boy will give you all the information you need.
Yeah, early.
All right, so thanks for checking us out, of course, here on YouTube and listening to the podcast, wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. Please share and all of that beautiful jazz. It's time to jump into the most profitable position.
Yes.
And the position with the most opportunity.
Yes.
Is your wide receiver. So we're going to give you the
ceiling
top
on the slate.
5 wide receivers to look at, especially the stacks with those quarterbacks that we talked about earlier in the show. These are the players to really start to point out. So key players out, though. Keenan Allen, COVID list. Potential. His coach, was it Brandon Staley, stated that he's not out.
Not completely.
I think there's a chance.
Yes. So Keenan Allen tested positive, but he is vaccinated.
Yes.
So you have a chance to come back with, I think they said like 40 hours of no symptoms and 2 negative tests.
Correct.
For a vaccinated player.
Yep. So there's a chance he still can, but I'm going to say I wouldn't count on it, but there is a chance that he can play.
Yeah,
but
then a receiver that hadn't practiced, which he's a veteran.
Yep. And then Mike Williams is
and we saw Amari
close contact.
Yep, and we saw Amari Cooper have, COVID fog.
Yeah, was he actually out? Was he actually sick? Did he have symptoms?
He did, and so they kind of thought that he would, even when he came negative, they said he was kind of still,
kind of foggy or whatnot.
Cough, you get over cold, you over it, but you're a little winded, had a cough, and that's how they described Cooper. They limited him. So he didn't have a lot of volume in that game. He didn't play a lot. So, I don't know how, I don't know Keenan Allen's condition or whatever it is. So
everybody reacts.
Got to make sure that he feels
differently.
good too. So you get out there and play a football game, and even if they activate him, it's good to kind of pay attention to if you find information like active but limited snap count, whatever the case may be. Say he's been feeling a little winded, didn't practice all week, which isn't good. Winded, didn't practice, and they playing the Giants. Do you need him to play a full game to beat the Giants?
No.
So
maybe,
but against Jake Fromm.
Well, I think
I don't know. So
all right,
be interesting to monitor that. Okay.
So that's the players that are key that most likely are done. So from there, what are we looking like as your top 5?
So my top 5 actually really, now that I look at my list, it really coincides with the 3 and the 2 extra sleepers is Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, CD Lamb. I really like Lamb this week, by the way.
So you're thinking stacking Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes, which is a very high payout, high cost.
And then even if you don't stack them, like I said, even if you got Heineke out there, that's when getting nailing some receivers. Even if you don't stack them.
Heineke, McLaurin, and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and Lamb for that matter. If I'm playing Heineke, McLaurin, I kind of want some on the other side of the Dallas game. I want Lamb. I want Cooper. I want Schultz.
Somebody's going to produce, so you may as well take advantage of the money on both ends.
Yeah, Hill, Diggs, Lamb, McLaurin, and then Godwin or Evans. That's kind of
or both. And we talked about this pre-production. One of the big things is with that Tampa team, you could probably play Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Godwin, and Gronk. Mm-hmm. That's 5 players you could put on your roster. Yeah. Very high priced, and then you just got to fill it in with a whole bunch of cheap players,
sleepers. And so, speaking of those cheap ones, I think so. I don't even think that y'all need me to tell you to play those, or why I think those. You know, we talked about the Tampa Bay secondary; they rate well, but they allow, you know, these Diggs type receivers to have individual big games.
They do.
Because sometimes when we look at those rankings, those fantasy points, that's just overall production. It still doesn't account for, okay, they do good against the receiver unit, but one guy always gets 120 yards against them and a touchdown.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, in the last 3 weeks, Tampa's defense has gotten 12 points left. So they've gotten double-digit points the last couple of weeks.
But, you know,
and they've had some solid weeks, but at the same time.
But at the same time, there's guys producing. Players like Russell Gage went out there and put numbers up against them.
He really did.
And I'm willing to bet that Stephon Diggs is better.
Yeah, and Tampa's still dealing with all those injuries, so they have absolutely no clue who's really going to play.
Secondary. It's a beatable secondary in a game that could go back and forth. I think Lamb can get to that Washington secondary in the slot, and I think the matchup is prime in the slot for him with Gallup back and Cooper. That's what this thing with them being healthy is, that it put all the guys where they're supposed to be. Puts Gallup and Cooper on the outside. It lets Lamb work where he needs to operate, and I think Dak shows an affinity to him, and I think that's the best player to match him up with. So
I can see that.
So sleepers. One other injury to mind. We talked about Allen and them. Oh boy, I'm a glutton for punishment. So Debo, as of Thursday, Debo Samuel's still in practicing.
Okay.
Kittle smash, but like I keep wanting to go back to Brandon Ayuk. He's so cheap at 5'8", and against Cincinnati, I'm not afraid of this matchup. Like, I'm still trying to make sense of how the Frisco Cincy game is going to go.
Right.
You know, every week is this Chase Higgins debate. Then we chase them both, and then Mixon end up having a good game. But, you know, I don't mind him as being a kind of a sleeper. Everybody wanted to play him last week, fell off the map, didn't do anything. And then everybody gets right back off the player in the same exact position. Yeah. Maybe even in a better spot, really, to tell you the truth. It's not a divisional game. Last week it was against Seattle, on the road against Seattle.
Yeah.
And so now you get the Cincy, you know, a beatable defense. It's the exact same situation if Debo misses. So don't mind him. Last week he was one of the best plays on the slate, everybody said. This week nobody wants to play him.
Nobody wants to touch him.
I think the next sleeper against this Atlanta secondary is DJ Moore. I kind of said when Cam came back. Cam bottomed back out last week. But this is a matchup they're going to have to throw the football against Atlanta in this matchup. I think DJ Moore's ceiling is better with Cam Newton at quarterback. He's not the greatest, but he'll hit him deep. I think it's the best spot for him. Another sleeper, I don't know how much of a sleeper he is. His price is up a little bit, but as long as Darren Waller is going to remain out, I think Hunter Renfrow just continues to eat the targets. I tried the Zay Jones experiment against Dallas.
Yeah, Zay Jones has been.
He's just and he's out there running wind sprints. He's on the field, especially with Waller gone and Ruggs out.
Yeah, right. Like he's out there. He's
because Edwards is doing nothing.
Yeah, and Edwards is not paying me any dividends. I'm kind of mad about that.
Deshaun Jackson at 3'9". I mean, he can get the big bomb. Like that's what he can do that Zay Jones can't do.
Yeah,
is catch an 80-yard touchdown bomb.
That's true. It's a good point.
And you can do that against this Chiefs defense, but I think Hunter Renfrow has just been the guy. You just play him.
Yeah, he played Hunter. He's become a set every week guy. Yeah. You can tell
8 catches is
he's becoming more of a security blanket for Carr than Waller even was. Even though Waller still gets a whole bunch of targets.
And when you watch him playing, he's out there doing triple moves on people. And I listened to this guy, and he's a white guy that said it, but he's like, look. If you didn't know that Renfrow was this little white dude who's balding, you would play him. But if you just looked at the numbers, the spot, and everything else, you really would. You would play him. But just don't look at him. He said just don't look at his picture. You wouldn't even think about it. Just don't look at his picture.
Just play him.
So, just don't play him.
And then you just play him, and then the next thing you look up, you're like, wait, that's him?
Yep. And he's producing. And, because he went wild against Dallas.
He really did.
And then he came back last week and had a good game with Waller out. Because I was all over Foster Moreau, who did nothing. And it was really all Renfrow and Jacobs. So that's why Jacobs moving up my ladder a little bit. But I think we can get back to Moreau, which we'll get to him in tight end.
Okay.
So the next sleeper, two more. First, it was Mike Williams, if no Allen, but then they came and said he's on a quarantine list, which leads you to Jalen Guyton at 3-4. Like, he actually had a pretty good game against Cincy last week with everybody active. Went out there, caught 4 or 5 passes, had a touchdown, and you got to throw it to somebody out there.
Yeah, somebody get the ball.
You got to get the ball. So as much as we like Eckler at 8-3, why not Jalen Guyton way down here at 3-4? I think he's in good play, especially if any one of these receivers is out. I still think Jalen Guyton becomes a pretty good play at that
3-4. Goodness.
Man, be a full-time receiver out there, which he has been. But again, Keenan Allen takes up so many targets. Mike Williams on the deep ball, they throw it to the tight ends. You know, it's a solid offense. So
they use everybody.
They use everybody. So I think we really got to take a look at him and see how the news with the Chargers shake out. And last but not least, if you really want to burn some money this weekend, so we're still going to see if DeAndre Swift is going to come back,
right?
Because with him out, they threw the ball. They threw it downfield. I've been playing Amon-Ra St. Brown. I kept talking about him back in the day. And nothing. But then they get off throwing it to the running back all day. And here him and Josh Reynolds come have good games. All the way down to the game-winning touchdown against Minnesota. They hiked up Brown's price to $5,000, but they left Josh Reynolds down at 4-1. So I don't think they're the worst plays if they actually throw the ball. Throw the damn ball. I know Jared Goff isn't great, but when you're trying to just run this offense where you just hand it off and throwing it to Swift, you're not going to do nothing. You got to throw it downfield in the NFL.
I mean, you make a good point.
You really do. That's assuming, good coaching and like, okay, this worked last week. We won a football game. Let's try to win 2 in a row. Let's go and continue to use these receivers. That's what wins football. Yeah, you got to run the ball, but you got to throw the football. And you got to throw it to more than Swift and Hockenson. And they did it last week, and they won a football game. So I don't know.
Because that was St. Brown. He actually had a
really big game.
Good game.
And I have been playing him all year like I've been playing him. And I finally, I'm going to pull up his name out.
You told yourself you're going, I'm going to give him a chance.
Well, I just had finally got off of him. I just finally got off of the whole.
So he had 12 targets, 10 catches, 86 yards, the game-winning touchdown. 24 points on FanDuel at 44 was his salary.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds had 4 catches, 69 yards off 7 targets. That was good for 10 fantasy points. So at 4-1, it didn't if you play somebody at 4-1 and you're down there in that price, 10 fantasy points ain't going to kill you.
Right, and it's crazy. St. Brown now jumped up to 5,000, so they're raising him up because they're expecting him to become a new target for Jared Goff.
And we just wonder, and I think that really the dependency on this is what happens with DeAndre Swift, and if he plays. Still did not practice this Thursday, and so when you're kind of looking at shoulder injury, I kind of think he's really in danger of missing again. So, they're 1-10 team. Maybe they're just still trying to see what they got. They need to be developing this St. Brown guy.
They really do. They need him.
And so, honestly, if he has another 20-point performance, he's probably too cheap still at $5,000 if he plays that well again. Gallup is at 5.5, Gage is at 5.7, Ayuk at 5.8. So, yeah. If you want a crazy play too, I said Jalen Guyton at 3.4. Joshua Palmer's $3,000. He's the other Chargers receiver. He actually gets out there.
So you think it's going to be between Palmer and Guyton who's going to actually be the one to end up getting the money?
What if they don't let Williams or Allen play?
That's true.
So you kind of all of a sudden go there for it. Don't just look at Eckler and Cook. Keep them in. They got to line up somebody in receiver unless they run the I formation the whole game.
So yeah, look at that Charger. Right. And Justin Herbert should give us another big week.
Yeah, so it's a good, so we're shopping for some value. Like we're looking at ways to afford if you want to play Mahomes and Hill. Yeah, not that we want to go out here and say, okay, Jalen Guyton is going to win me the millie. No, but he's going to let me pay for Allen and Diggs.
Yeah,
and
that could lead you to the millie.
Yes, to get to those type of players and pay up for Gronk at tight end or Kelsey and stuff like that. So,
but you like Reynolds too as well with the
I don't mind them both. Like it's kind of like Brown price. Or Reynolds, either or. Because Reynolds had been, and when you look at the week before,
because he's gotten double.
Reynolds had 16 fantasy points 2 weeks ago.
Last week. Oh, yeah, week 12 he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. Week 13 he had 10. So
because he had finally come back to the team, he had been out.
Yep.
And so he seemed to be one of their better receivers that
that Jared Goff trusts.
And he was with the Rams when Goff was there.
That's a good point.
Showered narrative. They've showered together. Well,
That's
it's a
the
joke.
running joke.
It's a joke. Play Isaiah was college teammates.
Yep.
Guy, the shower narrative. This is what they say. That's what just one guy say. I always find a narrative. Guys that go to church together got the Bible narrative out there.
That's a good point.
That's Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman. They go to church together.
Oh, really?
So hence their connection, the Bible connection there.
All right, let's jump into tight ends real quick. Let's give some quick tight ends and defensive players before we do the frozen features.
So if you can afford him, Kelsey. His big game was against the Raiders. They have nobody to stop him in the middle of the field. That's been their best game was against the Raiders. Everybody actually showed out that week. Even though Kelsey's had he's had bigger games at the beginning of the season. That was his first 100-yard game since week 3 of the season. Yeah. God, it took him to week 10 to get another 100-yard game. I mean, he was still getting double-digit targets. He just everything was like this passing. Like the passing game just looks broken most of the time.
Yeah, it looks bad. There's something wrong with Mahomes right now.
Bad. So it is nerve-wracking to spend that kind of salary on these players, but this is going to be the best that you get them.
And it's the Raiders, spot. Like you said. I mean,
the Raiders,
Dallas. He did good against Dallas, but Denver was awful. But it's Denver. Denver has a really good defense. They have good secondary. They've got all those young players out there that's ready for it. So
keep that in mind when you click on Josh Reynolds and St. Brown that they're playing at Denver, by the way.
That is true.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
So my next tight end I really like is Dawson Knox. This matchup against Tampa. Kind of like the Allen. You want to get different when you're stacking Josh Allen. You want to get off Diggs.
It's valid.
You play Allen, Knox, Evans. Allen, Knox, Godwin, or Fournette. Kind of stacking the game. You're looking at all the pieces in the game.
You honestly could play like all Buccaneer Bills.
You could get. You want to watch out when you do it in tournaments because you kind of capping the ceilings because not all the Bucs players somebody has a lower game. Mike Evans kind of gave way last week to Godwin, Fournette, and the touchdowns to Gronk. So somebody in a 4-man rotation lose out. But right now, Gabe Davis not getting a lot of work with Buffalo. They actually went back to Zach Moss. They're using 3 running backs, Singletary, Breida, and Moss.
Yeah.
And then you got Diggs and Knox, and I think Knox is a good little touchdown equity there. I think he's in a good sneaky spot.
Okay.
The next sneaky spot, even though he's got to make sure that he plays, but RSJ, Ricky Seals-Jones, their tight ends play every down, and Logan Thomas is back out for the rest of the season probably. So at 3-6, when he was starting and playing full time, I mean, he was out there. He was getting targets. Like Heineke uses his tight ends.
Heineke loves his tight ends.
He loves his tight ends. Foster Moreau busted really bad last week. I said play him with no Waller. He busted, and they hiked his price up to $4K. But again, the exact same situation presents itself. It's all over him. Waller's out.
Yeah.
In a decent matchup, actually. Like it's not a bad spot to target tight ends against Dallas. Actually, truth be told. No, not them. The Chiefs. I'm sorry. They're playing the Chiefs, so not a bad spot to target against them.
Their opponent, their ranking is 25th, so that means
tight ends against Chiefs. Yep.
Tight ends, Chiefs.
So it's a good spot for the tight end, and
points.
And I keep saying that. So instead of me, he busted on me. All these players I played last week, y'all cost me. And then, because what happened if you don't play him this week, and then you watch them, they all go off and they go win somebody else $1 million, and you're like, why didn't I just go back to him? Why did I go back to him? I don't know who else I was talking about earlier that busted in the Ayuk. I'm gonna just play all my rosters from last week. Just play the same players,
play the same ones over this week.
And then the last 3 in this, it's like this Hooper, Everett, Cook range of tight ends. All cheap. And they all got the same reason I want to play him. Hooper, because Njoku may be out. And Mayfield always kind of leaned Hooper over the other tight ends anyway. So now you got one out.
Yeah.
So we talked about that opportunity.
He usually hits Njoku deep. Njoku usually gets the big plays. True. And then Hooper's his dick and dunk guy. And so he doesn't end up getting a lot of points. Yep. But no, Njoku means that he's probably going to go to him more.
Just another, it's another body
unless
down.
Unless it goes to Kareem Hunt basically the entire game.
Yeah, and then Gerald Everett, Russell Wilson has actually been throwing. He didn't have a good game last week, but before that, steady targets. He's involved in the offense.
Solid, 3 weeks.
He's cheap, and he's involved in the offense. Seattle's actually I didn't really like. I've had playing Russell Wilson. It just worked out. They're playing Houston this week. So when you get a little deeper in the report, you probably might see his name pop up. So even though I didn't mention him in the receivers, but like I think Lockett's actually in a good spot. It's Houston. Everybody's in a good spot. Adrian Peterson is a good spot. Everybody's in a good spot. So this, like they need to end the season on a good note in Seattle. Not going nowhere in the playoffs. So this is as good a chance. They still playing the players. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to all those. So he's the cheapest of all the people I've mentioned. So that's why I kind of like Gerald Everett in that spot. And then for all the reasons that we like Jalen Guyton and all these things, Jared Cook, I mean, more targets go around. And, Herbert throws it to him. So you kind of let roster construction lead you. And I think these are just some guys that got some good opportunity in front of them and a chance to be heavily, heavily involved in their offenses.
Good stuff. Good stuff as usual.
Yep.
Make sure you check out the actual written report. That does come out on Saturday, so it gives you even more details based upon what we're talking about today.
Yep.
Talk through everything and be able to get you guys the goods.
Because it's money at receiver.
Okay.
Defenses.
Let's jump into the defensive setups. As you just mentioned a second ago, top three defenses. Who are you feeling
top three? Because we can't play the Chargers at 4-3. Like, they're just too expensive.
It's not worth it.
It's just too
financially
costly.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think the Saints are in just as good a spot at 3-6 if you can afford it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this at 4-3. The question you have to ask yourself is: will the Chargers hold the Giants to 0 points? Unless they hold them to 0 points, it's not worth it.
Yeah, we need 0 and we need a touchdown.
A defensive touchdown.
We need a touchdown.
Or a special team, something.
You need under 10 and a touchdown.
And most teams that end up at that number don't typically pay out that well. Like last week, the Chargers did well against Cincinnati because Cincinnati was just giving them the ball the entire time. But that was a 3,000.
They didn't score, did they?
Yes,
they
did get a defensive touchdown.
They did get a touchdown. I thought so.
That was their only defensive touchdown this season. So that was really a fluke game. So them jumping up as high as they did against a Giants team, even though they're going to play a rookie quarterback, I don't think the Chargers defensive coordinators are as good as a Belichick against a rookie quarterback.
What about the Saints against the Jets?
So that one to me is a little bit more feasible, makes a little bit more sense because the Saints defense has been good all season. Now, they haven't really paid out dividends since week 8 against Tampa Bay. That's when they were getting defensive touchdowns, but they've got 2 this season, and since then they haven't been getting the turnover machine going. But they've also been putting out points. Buffalo scored 31 on them. Dallas scored 27. Philly scored 40 on them. That's a problem
for the Saints.
Saints.
I think that was a cost of the offense being that bad.
Yes, Taysom Hill is still starting quarterback.
Yeah. But I think with Kamari and you get a little more clock control. Maybe I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know. So, do we trust Derek Carr on the road at Kansas City? Because if not, you can look at the Chiefs at 3-3.
At 3-3, that might be one of the better plays.
Do you trust Josh Allen
against Tampa?
Because you talked about him having these up and down weeks. I know he's due for the up.
He's due for up week. So I wouldn't want to touch it because he's due an up week.
I understand. What about the Seahawks at 3-1? We talked about Houston. They're playing Houston.
Houston's awful.
Houston's terrible.
Seattle's defense is typically awful.
Yeah, they're not the worst, but not not the worst, but not the best.
They have one double-digit game, and that was Jacksonville. So this might be the one.
Could be the one.
This might be the week because they're playing. As I don't think Tyrod Taylor's even back yet. I think they're going with Davis Webb.
Go back to Davis or Mills.
Mills. I'm sorry, Mills, not Webb. Yeah.
So Burrow's going to play.
Yeah, it's like Davis Mills is expected to start Saturday against Seattle. So Seattle at what are they? 3-1. 3-1. That might be one of your better plays.
And then I kind of start liking these defenses that's under that. I know this is more than just 3, but it's like, whoa. I sometimes like when you build it, sometimes you start with the defense, sometimes you end with the defense based on some salary. Because I'm kind of looking at this Burrow thing, trying to figure out what to do with them. Like the 49ers and the Bengals defense, they both at 3K and 2.9, and I think they even priced them right there together because they like it
right next to each other.
They like it known like their team total is like this 23 to 21 point game.
Yeah,
is what it's predicting. And it's not a shootout, but it's not a 42 either.
Right. So looking at that game and pull up the actual spread for it, it does appear that the score in this game is supposed to reflect probably closer to what the Chargers Bengals was supposed to be last week.
Yeah, because
without those fluky interceptions,
maybe no Debo.
Yeah,
Elijah Mitchell could miss.
Yep. So that'll be what, Jeff Wilson Jr. or was that? Or is that a
Hasty
Jermichael
came back.
Hasty?
Yeah. 'Cause they like Hasty, but they really like Mitchell. But I don't know.
Yeah, the spread has moved across. It's about 50-50. Most of it's favored it toward the 49ers
and then
on the
I think
road.
these last five,
like
and I think I'm probably going to end up just being honest, swimming in these cheap defenses. Really, like these are probably my favorite ones. Are going to be the Panthers, 2-8 against Atlanta and Matt Ryan.
Oh God, yes.
The Ravens against, and every time I target Baker, that's when he has a good game. But I'm gonna keep doing it. I don't mind. Well, I probably won't play Washington at 2-5, but when you look at their
Baltimore's got a problem. They lost another
Marlon
corner.
Humphrey's out now.
Yeah, they lost another.
They've got a lot of injuries, and so makes it difficult. So back to Kareem Hunt, and I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, that's where my fear. That's where honestly you could probably play the Browns defense because Baltimore might be playing from behind the whole time, and it's a good way.
Yeah, I've heard that one. It's the AFC North game. It'll be 13-10.
Oh yeah, it'll be. It's a rivalry game.
Yeah,
it's
we went through all the skill positions and didn't mention Lamar or Hollywood Brown or Andrews.
I will have them in a lineup, but I probably won't touch them more than one. It's fearful. Even if I go with 100 lineups, I don't know if I want Lamar in that many.
Yeah, nope.
Especially this week. Especially since their pass game has been really bad.
He's 7-4. You got Brady at 7-6. You got Herbert 7-1. Dak 6-7. Like Dak at 6-7 versus Jackson. So
actually sounds like one of the better, more realistic price points.
Yep. We talked about this Lions defense at 2-4.
I like the Lions against Denver this week, and this is a good chance for them to fight for Matt Campbell, bite off some kneecaps, and get themselves a second win.
Look at the Giants game.
Giants defense? Yeah, let me go pull it up real quick.
When you look at Washington,
they are the lowest.
Detroit, and that's another reason.
They scored 13 points last week against Philly. 2 weeks ago against Philly. They scored 14 points against Las Vegas. They scored 17 points against Carolina. So every other week since week 7, they have put up double-digit numbers.
Like they're not a bad when you kind of look at like them Lions, like the points allowed, like it's not going through the roof. Like we would think. They got a bad offense. They gave
30 to Tampa.
Who doesn't?
They gave 38 to the Rams.
Stafford.
They gave 44 to Dallas.
Dak.
And then 30 to Washington. It's week 2. Mm-hmm. Besides that, it's been under 25
they playing
points.
This Chargers defense, which sometimes Herbert kind of goes out here and struggles a little bit. What if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, what if they both miss? What if they struggle because of Allen being out?
That's a good point.
Even though it's from, which makes it hard. But the Lions and this could be up when we looking at because we can poke holes in all these high priced defenses.
Yes,
the Bucks at 3-2. What if Josh Allen go here and 34 points on Tampa? What if it's 37-34 shootout? I really hope it's more of that than the defense is
right.
Tell you the truth.
Give me more of that.
Give me more. We talked about the Seattle defense. That could be the day Davis Mills goes out here and throws another 350 yards on Seattle. The Bengals. They any day like Burrow. 350s in them.
Yeah, that's true.
Against San Francisco, so you could poke a hole in everybody.
That's
why I kind of get in here into the Panthers, Ravens, Washington, because you mentioned the Browns. I think they're priced under $3K this week. I didn't write them on my list. If you got
who the Panthers?
Cleveland.
The Browns are at 27.
See, everybody's under $3K. I think you can live under $3K. 49ers starts at $3K, then the Bengals. You mentioned the Browns. I think you can go low at. Me going low there.
So what about Jacksonville against the Titans divisional game?
Yeah, because the Titans, they have no skill position players like that.
They have none.
Yeah, like you could get down to the Jags at 2-3. They've had some negatives. Oh boy,
that's a maybe.
Take the Giants. Or the Lions, 2-4.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good point. So, okay.
Lions, they allowed 27 to Minnesota, 16 to Chicago, 13 to Cleveland, 16 to Pittsburgh. They gave 38 to Philly, 34 to Cincy, 35 to Green Bay.
We got something to think about.
Yeah.
Something to consider. I'd say we keep that in consideration. So, you ready?
Yes.
Let's move into the PHrozen.
Let's go.
Features.
All right.
Every week we do this. OSG's going to give us his fire takes. Tell us which one players are going to break out. And so these are our goal here is to find the top scorers in each one of these positions. So you ready?
Yep.
You got it?
Yes.
Feel yourself?
Yes.
Go then. All right, quarterback. I want somebody that's going to give me 250 yards and 3 touchdowns.
250 and 3.
Yep.
Josh Allen.
Okay.
He's coming for that. And he could rush for one of those, by the way.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. I don't care how he gets them. I need him 250 yards. It can be all-purpose yards and then 3 touchdowns.
I really like targeting Tampa's secondary a lot.
Okay.
So
good point.
Especially
with all the injuries they've had.
Yep.
All right. Running back. What running back's going to put up some numbers of 150 yards and 2 tutties?
150 and 2
yes.
tutties. I got 2 of these. I'm looking at them. Which one's going to do it? Are they going to play Kamara on a full load first game back?
That's a good question.
So I really like him to do it.
You think Kamara can come back with that number?
If he plays, if they play him like he was before, I don't know if they're going to go easy on him. I mean, Mark Ingram's out.
Then they ain't got no choice. Who else going to run?
Exactly. That's how they was using him before.
So we go with Kamara. We go with Kamara. If you feel confident, go with it, baby.
I mean, if it wasn't him, it was back to Leonard Fournette, to tell you the truth. Like it's
Uncle Lenny, yeah.
It's Uncle Lenny. Like it's like Kamara with the asterisk.
And the way that the Bills played against the Patriots run game,
they was run on them.
They just ran down their throat.
Give me for that, actually. Just that, and that's why. And that was one of the reasons I was like, we were kind of looking at this Brady and these receivers. Like, what if they just watch that film and just run all over them,
run down their throat? Hopefully, the Bills will adjust themselves.
Mm-hmm. So and that'll make Allen get in the game and want to throw it with urgency. Okay, because if they control the clock.
Wide receiver, who's going to give us 150 and 2 tutties? Same thing as the running backs. 150, 2 tutties.
I'll go off the board with this one.
Okay, we like that.
I said he was my favorite one anyway. CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh, okay.
Let me get away from the stacks. You know, you would normally have took Diggs because of Allen, but go off the board a little bit.
Okay.
Because I really liked Dak, you know, so.
Tight end. Who's going to get us 2 TDs?
Oh, son of a. You know who it's going to be.
I mean, he seems to only do this season.
Who Kelsey?
Well,
the Raiders?
Well, that's one.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about the guy that only seems to catch 2 touchdowns every week.
Maybe that's why I didn't pick. Oh.
Every week he scores 2 touchdowns, it seems like.
But you know what, though?
Give me something different,
I didn't take Diggs. I took Allen in the stack. Dawson Knox.
Ooh.
Might only get like 3 or 4 catches and
all touchdowns. Josh Allen's like, it's my touchdown guy.
Yeah.
All right, defense. Who's going to score us a touchdown?
How does the Chargers not score against Jake Fromm? How does
That's a good point.
Not happen? Like, how does it?
Chris Harris Jr. get us a pick 6. Tulsa boy, give us a pick 6.
How does it not happen?
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay,
golly. But you know what though? Because I'm not gonna play the Chargers because they're so expensive.
They're so expensive. Yeah.
Let's go. We keep talking about these cheap ones. Let's take Detroit.
Detroit. Scoop and score, huh?
Scoop and score. Teddy Bridgewater. They got offensive line problems in Detroit.
That's true, and that's strip sack.
They really
scoop
do.
And score.
They really do. Like, you know, like you said, like let's see them end the season on a note for crying out loud.
That's what Dan Campbell. Let's go out there and bite some kneecaps.
Man, for real. Show us something. Because I'm going cheap.
That is good.
It's the only way you're going to afford.
I think I'm going to play a lot of Lions defense this week.
Probably.
I'm sensing, I think most of my defenses will be the Lions. The Lions and the Giants. Mm-hmm. And we'll just see which one of them doesn't.
I think it's going to be some mid-range and high-price like receivers that's going to, you know, with these type of receivers on this slate, like you got to be able to get those guys in the lineup. And, you know, there aren't the super cheap tight ends, you know, and I'm like, you got to have Hills and Diggs and Godwins and Lambs and McLaurins and a high price running back somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's true.
And so I think the only place to really sacrifice that is defense and tight end, you know, to really kind of save some coin there. One cheap receiver, you know, the Guyton thing, you know.
Yeah. So, there it goes. All right, then.
Detroit, get their hat next.
Detroit versus everybody. So we appreciate y'all joining us as usual here on Unfair Sports.
What could go wrong week 14?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking us out here on YouTube as well as wherever podcasts are download and listen to. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You think we deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway. We're going to gift it. So for Mike, Bob, and Wendy, thank you so much for doing your thing on the back end side like you always do for the OSG. The written report will be out on Saturday.
Yes.
Please check that out. All the details you need in order to be able to create and construct those lineups. Get yourself about 100, 150, maybe even 200 lineups out of the information. Go out there, win some of these matches. Teach all of the pro and veterans how you do it with the help of the OSG.
Go out there.
Go out there and make it happen. So with that, we'll chop it up with y'all in a few days. Peace.